Might just use that as the start of the podcast. Are you ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Right. You've got to hold and give and do it at the right time. And the right time is now to listen to a podcast about football and to also say, up the Lionesses. It's a sad time to be an Australian. The rain saved you from losing the Ashes in an embarrassing comeback defeat. The rain's the only thing that stopped the English. And now you've been thwacked by the Lionesses in the semi-finals of the World Cup. Jack Atkins, how are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you, Ross. I'm having an anxiety-riddled day and I'm bleeding, but apart from that, I'm all right.
Well, let's unpack this. I don't need to go into the anxiety, that's a personal issue, but the blood I'm interested in. Where's the blood coming from? How much of it? What colour?
It's like a deep red, a little bit out on my heel, and it's not like proper anxiety. Today it was a cock-up by my own doing, really. I thought I was just in for a day of hold and give stuff, so I was like, cool, I need to catch up on some of the highlights and some podcast bits. So first thing, I needed to go to the bank and I thought, right, I'll get my headphones in, I'll do this bit, I'll do my bank stuff, come back, get a message from Aidan Gibbons saying, did you forget you were on the website today and CM Punk's been kicking off on everyone?
Oh, God.
So I started in the wrong mindset and then I still had to go to the bank because it was important. Put on some Air Max I've had for 3 years, but I've only worn once, hadn't broken them in, and my heels have just bled buckets. But apart from that, we're all right.
It's all CM Punk's fault. I hate CM Punk. He's a cancer to everything he's involved in, apart from AW Collision, which is a fantastic on-screen product. You have a Beavertown pint glass?
Yes.
You straight-edge son of a gun. What's that doing there?
I mean, I'm drinking water out of it. It's fine.
I know.
It was. I found this on the street on Christmas Day.
Really?
Yeah, we went because we lived in Tynemouth and we had no family up north for Christmas. We were like, oh, we're bored. Let's do the Tory thing of going for a walk. And we went for a walk at night, walked past the pub and I spotted it out the corner of my eye and went, always wanted one of those glasses, emptied it and held it in my pocket for 2 hours, got home, washed it 4 times and now I drink water out of it.
And you haven't caught any diseases. But then again, it is Tynemouth, which is a more sophisticated area of the northeast of England. What was in the pint glass when you found it?
Dregs. Dregs and bits of sand.
Or was it piss?
No.
It could have been. I've just realised my pyjama bottoms are in the background of shots here. Let's put them down there. I know everyone wants to see my pyjama bottoms. You want to see my pyjama bottoms?
Oh, yes, please.
Ta-da! Ta-da!
They look very soft.
They are very soft. And they smell like poo. Anyway, did you know that Neymar won La Liga Player of the Month before Lionel Messi did, Jack Atkins? That's only because the gong, as I think the Spanish like to call it, as I'm learning today, the gong was introduced as a concept only in 2013. It was never a thing before that. Neymar won it for the first time in November 2015, with Messi winning it for the first time of about 1 million times in January of 2016. Just in case you're wondering, fans of Revista de la Liga and stuff like that, and paella and bulls and the beaches. Diego Costa was the first ever winner of the Player of the Month award in September 2013, and Chelsea's recent signing, Nicholas Jackson, was the recipient of the last one of last season back in May. So up the Player of the Month. I can't believe it wasn't a thing until 2013.
Yeah, the fact it wasn't a thing until 2013, in fact it took so long for Messi to get it as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was like a quiet conversation where they were just like, lads, we can't give it to Messi or Ronaldo straight away because it'll be a farce. I know there's other good players who are deserving of it, but come on, let's be honest.
Over 3 years though for Messi to wait one. You look at some of the names on the Wikipedia article, which of course means it's all factually correct because anyone can edit that. I reckon what's his face, Scott Minto, who used to host Revista de la Liga, he's the one who's on the Wikipedia page for La Liga. Just some of the names on there who got it before Messi is staggering. Also, Steven Nzonzi won it in 2017 at some point. That was a big standout name for me.
I wonder how many Iago Aspas has, because obviously brilliant for Celta Vigo, terrible for Liverpool, and then brilliant for Celta Vigo again, so fantastic.
Yeah, the heavy pressure of the Weds. The Weds. I'm not Jonathan Wass, the Reds weighing down on his neck. Bloody Nora. Anyway, up the Hold and Give Fantasy Football League. It is live. It is in person. No, it's on an app. It's not in person. I don't know what I'm saying now. I'm just a crap host of a podcast. But Jack Atkins, I need to ask you, hopefully with your phone in front of you, because we didn't discuss this beforehand, where are you in the Hold and Give Fantasy Football League currently?
I have no idea. I've not checked.
I'll tell you where I am while you're having a look. I am currently 211th on 66 points. So if you've got somewhere around that, that is where you are with me.
Let me see. Let me see.
I think you're...
No, I've got 56 points down below you, probably.
You must be the only person below me in the Cultaholic Office League, because I'm currently 11th.
I've told you, like, the stock I put in fantasy football. It's a bit of fun, but currently in the Cultaholic Fantasy Football League, I'm not going to name names, but someone who admittedly is not a fan of football is top because they listen and game it. Fantasy football's played with your heart and a bit of nous. Come on.
I know, it's the real people who know football who don't do well at FPL, because it's not even real football. You're not basing things off real football here for FPL.
No,
you're not.
My brother used to do, because my brother's 10 years older than me, he used to do old school fantasy football over the house phone with his mates as a kid. He was in, as a kid, well, when he was a young man, I think he had a work league, so they were all given a team and they had to do it that way. And I wanted to be involved, and they gave me FC Porto, but I was 7 years old and had no idea what I was doing. So...
Hey, I might be around.
That's how we used to do it back in the day, kids.
Might be around the time Bobby Robson was manager when you were 7.
Yeah, probably, but still, I wasn't watching the Portuguese league, was I?
Why not? Why not? But if you want to join the league and obviously get a reduced points total because of you joined the league a bit late, you still can do. The link is in the description to both the YouTube video and the Spotify description, the Acast description, all the descriptions you can probably see. We move on now.
Ooh, I was going to say, what's your team called this year? I haven't actually checked.
Hell in Lascelles. Jamal Lascelles, club captain. Not sure why, because he never ever plays. Wrestling tie-in, it ticks all the boxes.
Very nice, very nice.
And I set up the Slick McCarthy. That's your team name. Anyway, fantasy football video. That's what I should have said. That's coming later this week. Myself and Kayla are doing fantasy football showdowns each and every week, where we're going to compare our goings-on, our transfer dealings, what we're going to do in the upcoming week, how we did the week previously. Then we end up with a massive punch-up. It's a big fight. Fisticuffs. And I get beaten up every single time because I'm soft.
It's good to see your good lady lass on the channel. I like Kayla. She's a good egg.
Well, I should say, it's only because nobody else is available. You went quiet on the home shirt tier list. I thought he mustn't want to do it anymore, and time is of the essence. Owen wasn't free for an entire week. Joel's retired from on-screen stuff. So I was like, Kayla, come on down. You're the only one left.
I know, I was keen to do it. It was just the stars didn't align, Ross.
It didn't align, and now the stars have flown away forever. But anyway, Clive F. Word, it is time for On This Day, IP Freely. What happened on this day in football history?
So we are talking on August the 16th, 2023, but on this day in football history, Ross, in 1890, the first 4 games of the Scottish League were played. I've got one result for you, don't ask for any others, but Cambuslang 8, Vale of Leven 2. So that happened.
Sorry, my phone just started playing Spotify for no reason whatsoever there. Just in case you're wondering. Flown Away Forever, in brackets, sketch by JHECA. I don't know what that is.
Technology, eh?
I don't know.
What's it like?
Who was this? Why is that on my Spotify? It sounds like your SSX Tricky 3 soundtrack, that sort of vibe. Anyway.
I mean, what a game to go for, to be fair.
Oh, bloody lovely game. I used to love that game back in the day.
Were you a whiz kid on the slopes, were you?
Not really, no. I just enjoyed the music and the trousers, the big baggy trousers.
Yeah.
David Arquette was one of the voices or something, wasn't he?
Was he?
I think so. I might have just made that up.
Well, talking to David Arquette, in 1980 on this day in football, it's nothing to do with David Arquette.
Oh, he made his debut for Cambridge United, didn't he, David Arquette? Of course, on this day in 1980.
Well, of course. And also, Bristol Rovers Eastville Ground went on fire after their opening day win over Orient. They weren't Leyton Orient then, they were just Orient. The South Stand, which also has the offices and changing rooms, completely burnt out. So Rovers had to use Bristol City's ground for the next 5 games, and both teams were relegated to Division 3 at the end of the season. It's just, what a bad season. What a bad season all around.
Terrible.
Talking of terrible things, here's one that you'll laugh at. 1992, the first ever live televised goal from the Premier League aired. Nottingham Forest's Teddy Sheringham scored against Liverpool.
He did. He twatted in the top corner, didn't he? And he ran away going, yeah, I still go to nightclubs at the age of 50. Yeah. That was all the talk of it. Because I had a lad I lived with, he was from Romford. Romford, I think. Not Romford. I forget, somewhere down where Towie's filmed Jack Atkins. And there was a bar there with Teddy Sheringham at the age of whatever he was in 2012 to 14 sort of time. He was going to nightclubs with young ladies. That's a big scoop for the podcast right there.
Well, he's one of those fellas that now looks the age. It now is the age he's always looked. He's like Arjen Robben in that respect.
You know who looks remarkable for his age? I only realised this week. Ray Parlour, right? Because every time, when you go into the For You section of Twitter, or X, obviously it's people you don't follow, but it's people who are like associated with the areas of your interest on social media. So he's always on my For You bit of Twitter, or X. I keep calling it Twitter, it's called X. And I don't know how old he is, but he's always got a drink and or a curry in his hand. And he's in shape. He still looks like he can knock it around for Middlesbrough in the 04-05 campaign for Steve McLaren's side. He's sensational for his age, is Ray Parlour. I'm sure they call him the party as well because of how much he drinks.
Is it Ray Parlour who is Romford Pele on Twitter?
It is. Yes. Slay, Queen Ray Parlour, slay.
Well, it's a good thing that you mentioned Steve McLaren, because the last bit of On This Day in football history didn't involve Ray Parlour. But in 2006, Steve McLaren took charge of England for the first time. He dropped David Beckham and they twatted Greece 4-0 at Old Trafford.
I think Gerrard might have worn the number 9 shirt for that game,
He seemed to wear a different number every game for England, and it was, as our iconic number 8, we were just like, give him a number 8.
You couldn't have it, though, because of Lampard. Lampard's more than 8.
By the letter of the law, possibly.
Yeah, by the letter of the law. But yeah, Gerrard, I think he might have been playing on the right there for England as well in that game. I think it was at Old Trafford. I'm going for the memory banks here. I know it was definitely at Old Trafford. I know that Gerrard might have worn the number 9. I don't know.
Well, all I know is that Steve McLaren did a good job in that first game.
Yes, he did. And it didn't go any higher from that point there, really, for the rest of his tenure as England manager. On to
the man who's remembered for holding an umbrella.
Yeah, the Wally with the brolly.
Yeah.
In a game that produced arguably the greatest sliding tackle of all time, though, Sol Campbell literally sliding about 500 yards off the pitch. It was sensational.
Forever.
Looked so fun.
Yeah.
Love to have a go at that. Tie me to a motorcycle by the ankles and drag me across Wembley when it's that sodden. What a great time to be had.
Well, I know you've just had your birthday, but that gives me plenty of time to plan for your next one.
Thank you very much. What motorcycle are you going to purchase? A Yamaha? One of their Wallace and Gromit's numbers? I don't know.
Yeah.
I know nothing about motorbikes. I don't know why I even said it anyway. The Premier League returned at the weekend. It was a decent weekend for all concerned, wasn't it, Jack? And it kicked obviously on Friday night. Burnley 0, Manchester City 3. A very much routine victory for Manchester City. Wasn't too much to write home about. No controversial thingies or anything like that, apart from the press getting Pep Guardiola giving Erling Haaland an earful, then Pep going to the TV camera, no, you go away, to which you're saying to yourself, why don't you just wait until you're in the dressing room, you bald idiot?
Yeah, and people, obviously, because people need stuff to talk about with the amount of coverage, etc., I think they made more out of this than there needed to be. I just think it was two perfectionists having a little tiff, and that was it.
Yeah, it was something about Erling Haaland wanting balls in behind, and then him not getting the balls or something. Or the balls.
All the balls. This is the Steve McLaren episode, isn't it? But yeah, routine, like you said, routine victory. I watched it at my mate's house, and it was on the background because we knew it was a formality. I don't think Burnley looked out of it. I don't think they looked overawed or anything. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, they've got about 11 million wingers, though, including Nathan Redmond. And I think they signed one more winger just after the game as well. So Vincent Kompany loves a winger for some reason.
Just loves it.
Why, though? It's Vincent Kompany. He shouldn't like wingers. He should like large, towering centre-halves. Your Tarkowskis of the world. Get him back at Burnley.
Imagine that, Everton being like, oh, please don't take our players. We've only got 4.
Then we move on to Saturday's results. Newcastle United 5, Aston Villa 1. If you ask old Whiskey Nose how the game went, apparently Newcastle were very lucky to win a game 5-1. Aston Villa dominated the ball, apparently. And they did have a fair amount of possession when it was 1-1. And then Tyrone Mings went off at 2-1. So Newcastle, because a lot of people were saying as well that Tyrone Mings is the reason it was 5-1. Aston Villa had conceded 2 goals in the first 23 or 24 minutes, which is when Tyrone Mings went off. So it wasn't the most sound defensive display to begin with. Obviously, it fell apart from there. I can't believe as a Newcastle fan how well it went, I should say.
Yeah, this was one of 3 games that I watched live on Saturday. I just had my arse on the couch and just went, right, I'm in. Tonali's a bit good, isn't he?
Surprisingly so, because he had that wonderful display against Rangers, but again, I hesitate to say it, but it is only Rangers. You know, Todd Cantwell's going up there and tearing stuff up, isn't he? Which tells you all you need to know after failing at Norwich or Bournemouth, wherever the hell he was. He was at Bournemouth, wasn't he? Ever since then in the pre-season friendly, just looks like he wasn't up to pace, and maybe he was going to struggle a bit with the physicality, I guess, of the Premier League. But then he shut all that sort of detractorship up, if you want to call it that. Detractorship, ooh, fancy words from Ross that make no sense whatsoever. But yeah, he was everywhere. He was putting his foot in. He was zinging the ball across the pitch. He was covering every blade of grass. He was a bit of everything you want to see from a centre midfielder.
Yeah, you're going to have to excuse me as well, because I took all my notes on my phone, so I'm just going off this.
I
do think that while you would have won, I do think Mings was the difference maker, because even just in terms of the atmosphere, and Villa's head dropped as soon as he went off. Aidan Gibbons messaged me to say, because he was at the game all blurry celebrating, he told me that he did take a photo of himself laughing at Tyrone Mings when he went down, not realising how serious the injury was at the time. And then when he got stretchered off, he went, I feel bad now.
Yeah, because the way it did happen, you just think, he's just a bit of play acting here, looking for a free kick. And then obviously you watch the replay back, you do see his knee sort of pop. And obviously it looks like he's going to be on a long... I mean, to be fair, Aidan was one of the few who was laughing at him, because I thought he got a nice standing ovation when he was getting carried off by the Newcastle fans.
Yeah, but this is Aidan Gibbons. The man's got a very warped sense of humour, and we'll leave it at that. I thought Anthony Gordon was really good as well. He looked very hungry. He looked up for it, and I was like, "Wow, okay."
I think that's another dagger to the heart of Everton, because it looked like he wasn't fit when he arrived at Newcastle. Then all of a sudden, he's had obviously a full pre-season under. And then he called him a dictator there, but that's the wrong word completely. A taskmaster like Eddie Howe, who doesn't accept anything less than 150% worth of effort. And he looks fit as a fiddle, as you say. He's got a fire in his belly. And he's a little bit of quality now as well in terms of final passes, which is nice to see.
Well, I don't want to get yourself and other Newcastle fans too excited, but I'd say they were entertaining this side when I was watching them. Just the way they went at it. Who else was good? Harvey Barnes, he had so much fun down that left, especially.
I think that was down to Villa as well, because the high line they were playing that second half, especially where the back four was camped on the halfway line, when you had pacey players like Barnes, Wilson can get going when he wants to. Who else was on there? Miggy Almiron, obviously. But why would you play on the halfway line with them three? 5 or 6 pacey boys running at you?
Yeah, It was an odd game, because, like you said, that first 20 minutes, despite them conceding twice, I thought this was just going to be end-to-end. I thought Diaby started really strongly as well. They're going to have to try and find a replacement for Mings, because he's probably going to be out for most of, if not all, the season, aren't he? And we were saying last week about how everyone expects him to do really well. I would imagine this is probably going to be the one result for Villa that sticks out like a sore thumb, but... Yeah, what a game. What a game. Bet you're very happy, aren't you?
I'm very, very happy and very, very surprised. Bring on Manchester City away on Saturday night, that's all I'm saying. We're playing them at a great time. They're obviously playing in the European Super Cup tonight as we're sat here recording. Hopefully their journey home gets delayed by several hours over from Greece back to England, and that play into Newcastle's favour there. Sheffield United 0, Crystal Palace 1. The highlight of the game, I suspect, might be someone else's highlight of the week, so we'll speak about that a little bit later on. As for the game itself, Sheffield United look like they're just set up for relegation, aren't they? Let's just get it out there. They haven't spent much money this summer. They've let the 2 best players go. One bafflingly so to Burnley, who was one of the relegation rivals you probably think come the end of the season. Crystal Palace have kept largely the same team. There's not much change there. Obviously, they might lose. Well, they're losing Elise. Apparently, they could lose Eze before the window, which would be disastrous for them, you would think. So it's pretty much. This felt like it was a weird thing to say, but it feels like a game. Remember when 2 teams are 11th and 12th come the end of the season, nothing to play for? I was watching the match of the day highlights, which gives you, I think, a nice picture of the game. Obviously not the full picture, but it felt like one of those games at the end of the season where there wasn't much riding on it. That sort of vibe. I don't know about anybody else. It might just be me in my weird ways.
No, I know what you mean. I watched the highlights as well, and like you said, it presents a picture of the game. But as you were saying, especially with Eze, he was dancing around with ease. I think the scoreline actually flattered Sheffield United, because 1-0 makes it sound like more of a contest than it was. Sheffield United, sorry, their back line was all over the place from what I could see as well.
Yeah,
it was. But like you said, there was just no urgency. It wasn't even like they were overwhelmed by the occasion of being back in the top. They would just kind of look like, we're here now. It was kind of defeatist because, like you said, they've got rid of some of the best players. It almost felt like the team were just like, well, we're buggered, aren't we? So, come on, let's have a go.
Yeah, we'll take the parachute payments and move on with our lives. But as I say there, the highlight of the game will be discussed at length upcoming in the podcast. Everton 0, Fulham 1. Everton missed as many chances as they might have in the next 4 games. How they didn't get on the score sheet, I guess it's going to be their big issue. They've obviously got that young lad in from Sporting Lisbon, which you'd hope would sort things out for them from an attacking sense. Fulham got away with one here, I thought.
Yeah, and they brought in that is it Harrison from Leeds as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the games I had on, but my cousin phoned me, who I haven't seen for a year, and we spent an hour on the phone talking about Ian Walker. So
why?
Amongst other things, I don't know. Just when I was little, I was obsessed with goalkeepers that I thought were cool, like Ian Walker and Mark Bosnich.
I tell you what, when I was growing up and getting involved, remember the Premiership on ITV when he was playing for Leicester, Ian Walker, and he was horrible. But apparently that's because he was a bit of a party boy off the pitch and was always pissed. I always thought, why is he in the England squad in like 2003-4 sort of time? I couldn't believe my eyes because I always thought he was one of the worst keepers in the Premier League without knowing he'd obviously had quite a distinguished career at Spurs in the 90s.
Yeah. So we were talking about that, but like I said, one eye on Everton. Can't finish the dinner. Same as what I thought last season. I'm a big fan of Alex Iwobi. Whenever he was on the ball, it looked like, right, he was driving on, and was it Decore who was unlucky at one point, and there was the penalty appeal as well. But like you said, Fulham did get away with one because if Everton had someone in front of goal who could have tucked it away, it would have been a different story altogether.
Yeah, I think it might have been a 5-1 if they had a proper finisher on the pitch, to be fair. They had that many good chances. Brighton Hove Albion 4, Luton 1. It's a massive shame for Mr. Mpenza, who's like the first ever footballer, as we all know, to go through the leagues with the same team. On his Premier League debut, he's fannying around in the box with that ball, tries to play a stupid pass and presents a goal straight to Brighton. Yeah,
that was absolutely awful. Luton didn't shrink, though, despite it being 4-1 and a bit of a batter, and they were still up for it. Again, it's what I've said already so many times. They rose to the occasion. They're like, come on, let's give it a go. Brighton is still a very good team, despite no McAllister, no Moises Caicedo, and all the rest of that.
Who's that? Sorry, who's that?
Again, watch the match of the day highlights, and it looked fair enough. I'm glossing over that one, Ross. You can't continue.
More on him in a little bit, but yeah, as you say, Matoma was looking on fire with his little bit of skill there. There was all the big hitters just were doing well for Brighton. I've got Estepinian needs to come in my fantasy team this week because he was the one I dropped in favour of Zinchenko, which went very well indeed. You're looking at Ferguson up front as well, getting another goal where apparently Spurs could be interested in his services, maybe replacing Harry Kane with one for the future. But yeah, it's as you were expecting, weren't you? Just Luton don't look ready for the Premier League in terms of their squad. Brighton, one of the more established teams in the league, obviously going to be pushing for Europe again, you'd think, as well as being in Europe this season. Horses for courses, that one. Par for the course. All the courses. A 3-course meal.
Tell you what, though, again, like I said, watching the highlights and match of the day of this one, and from what I saw, I was surprised by how good Danny Welbeck looked as well. I was like, surely he's 45 now.
He's had a little bit of a resurgence at Brighton, hasn't he, ever since he left Arsenal? Yeah.
Up the Danny Welbeck.
Up the Danny Welbeck. Up the Danny Welbeck. That guys used to call him in the memes back in the day. West Ham United went away to Bournemouth and drew 1-1. Obviously the first game for Mr. Iriola, how you pronounce it, the Bournemouth manager who got the job because of his brand of football and stuff like that, and took Gary O'Neill out of the hot seat. I don't know what to make about this game. My main takeaway was the West Ham shirt, because they're wearing a white away kit, but they're both the Umbro sponsor and the West Ham crest are white as well, and the Betway sponsor is black. So all you can see when you're watching on the telly is Betway. It's Betway United, everybody.
I don't know how they're getting away with that one, especially how they're starting to come down a little bit on the sponsorships with betting companies.
Make rain while the sun shines.
Yes, there we go.
Is that the saying?
But yeah, for the game itself, Jared Bowen got a lovely goal. Dominic Solanke got a good poacher's goal. On paper, it seems fair. I doubt either team will really be gutted by this. I think West Ham were probably hoping for a stronger start, but 1-1's fair.
I think they might have been quite pleased with the start, considering all the rumours of discontent all summer long between David Moyes and the director of football, and no signings being made, and then 3 or 4 signings being made at once. I thought they'd be quite satisfied with a point away from home on the opening day.
Who've they got next? Do you have that to hand at all, or should we just deal with that when it
We'll
comes?
deal with that when it happens. I haven't got West Ham's fixtures in front of me. Arsenal 2, Nottingham Forest 1. Looked like it might have been a bit of a cricket score after Brennan Johnson missed that chance. Arsenal then just sort of dominated for a long time, went at the break 2-0 up, and then Nottingham Forest got a goal back, and it was as maybe, I think, closer than we all expected. I think we're all just talking about either Martinelli's moment of je ne sais quoi va-va-voom on the pirouette for the first goal, or Saka with the bender in the top corner.
It was Martinelli for me. I nearly took off my trousers in the front room. Why not? It's my house. It was, yeah, I did think Arsenal looked flat in the second half, but that first half especially, it was really good. The one who really caught my eye was on the ball anyway. I thought Thomas Partey had a very good game.
They play them like Trent. It's very strange how he's like not a proper fullback. He's sort of like tucked in a bit, pushed on into midfield. It's very Trentish from Thomas Partey. It
seemed that everything positive went through him as well, and it really stuck out. I was like, geez, bloody hell. I won't blaspheme. Go on, I'll keep you two happy. Obviously, the news coming out of it I've seen is that Jurrien Timber, who looked fantastic as well, has done his ACL.
Oh, God, that might be a season, that one, is it?
Apparently so, yeah. So
what a way to start for a new signing at a new club.
So that down note aside, yeah, Arsenal look very strong. We'll come on to my season predictions before a ball was kicked in a minute though, because I originally had these finishing third, and if they carry on like this, I think they might do better.
I know you got a scathing comment last week about saying the Reds would finish second.
I mean, I don't read the comments. I get called a twat in the privacy of my own home enough. Thank you, strangers on the internet telling me this. And that was with my heart. Come on, I did say it was with my heart rather than my head.
But I think, yeah, Arsenal are going to be closer to Manchester City than they were last season, I think. On Forest, though, I thought they looked really disjointed, which is really weird, considering I think they've made one signing who was in the squad this summer, obviously after signing, 23, 24 players last season. They looked really disjointed in the first half.
Yeah, the main note I've got about Forest, though, is that I really like their away shirt.
Do you? Oh, it's not slapping for me. It's like Argentina on acid, isn't it?
You say that like it's a bad thing.
On to Sunday we go, the 13th of August, the birthday, of course, of our Lord and Saviour, Sir Alan Shearer, was born on the 13th of August 1970, so happy birthday, Al. My friend Al, who I've never met. I met him once. Chelsea won, Liverpool won. I think Liverpool started very well indeed. Then Chelsea, as the game went on, just grew stronger and stronger and stronger. Started playing better and better and better football. And I think by the balance of play by the end, I think Jurgen's Reds will be very happy with a point.
Yes, in hindsight, talking about it afterwards, saying, look, coming out of Stamford Bridge with a point is still coming out of Stamford Bridge with a point. When we were on the ball going forward, we looked brilliant in spells. But I think this match both proved why Chelsea and Liverpool are looking to break the bank for a number 6. Because as soon as whatever direction the football went, it just all fell apart. I think we'll be all right for the time being. It all hinges on us getting that number 6.
Who are the names then? If it's not going to be Caicedo, it's not going to be Leiva. Who's it going to be?
Decore going back in for Thuram. I know Thuram's not like a traditional number 6, but he can play there. I saw a tweet the other day saying, they've gone back to Real Madrid saying, can we have Tchouameni? And it's like, that's not going to happen. That's like if I split up from a missus and DM Scarlett Johansson saying, go on, I've got an opening here. Do you want to go? It's not going to happen. For Chelsea, though, I thought Chukwuemeka, I may have said that wrong. I thought he looked really good. Enzo was fantastic. Ben Chilwell had a great battle with Trent. I don't think Trent had a bad game. It was more that we were just exposed by not having a DM. And Anthony Taylor is still a crap ref.
I would love to see how many kilometres Chilwell got through in that game, because he didn't even play the full 90, but he never stopped the entire game.
Oh, he's brilliant.
Yeah, he was fantastic. As you say there, I thought Enzo, that's the performance we've been waiting for in the Premier League, I think, from him, obviously with the price tag that came with him in January. It must be hard when you're that young, setting into another new country, as he was doing. So you got a tie and all that, I guess. But yeah, he was my man of the match as well as Sky Sports, I think so. But I thought it was a very entertaining game, like.
Yeah, like I said, talking with Megs in the group chat afterwards, we went like, bloody hell. We were just like, do you know what? Just put a DM in there, and I think we'll be sound. And that's partly why my terrible prediction of Liverpool finishing second. Listen, if we'd got Moises Caicedo and he was slotting in there, I don't think anyone would be laughing at me saying we're going to finish second. Now we'll have to wait and see. But it does hinge on that signing.
It does, big time. Then before that on Sunday, obviously, we had Brentford 2, Tottenham Hotspur 2, a Desmond 2-2 with your Sunday dinner. I'll have that, thank you very much indeed. It was a very, very entertaining game of football, as you would expect from a Desmond 2-2. I thought Spurs were playing some all right stuff. They were keeping the ball very well, but a lot of it was side to side, which was really frustrating me with, and like the reputation that Ange Postecoglou was coming into the club with, of playing a nice brand of attacking football. I thought Jimmy Maddison was maybe their standout player. I thought he looked very good indeed, but I thought that largely their play was, I don't want to say pedestrian, but that's the word that's coming to mind.
Well, this is one that I caught on Match of the Day too. I didn't watch it live, and again, the impression I got from the match, it looked very end-to-end. Maddison's delivery for Romero's goal was gorgeous. But yeah, it didn't look... I don't know if I'm saying it didn't look dynamic, but it didn't look like anything that would get me like, oh, this Tottenham team, they are actually going to kick on despite Kane leaving.
Yeah, not like you were in 2015 when Jurgen arrived and you're like, yeah, heavy metal, rock on, baby.
All that, Ross. Yes, that's exactly what I did with my friends. We all rammed each other. We just went, eee.
Yeah, rock and roll. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Cowabunga, dudes. Anyway, yeah, good point, I think, for Spurs on the road. Because obviously Brentford, well established now in the Premier League. Obviously going to miss Ivan Toney, I think, and Burmo had a couple of big chances that he spurned, but that's what he does best.
I thought, again, from what I saw from the highlights, I thought Mickey van der Ven looked very shaky for Tottenham.
He only signed a few days before the game, though, I think. It was a bit hard to throw him straight in there for me.
Yeah, he needs the bed in, definitely. But decent player from what I've seen, but this wasn't baptism of fire, I think, as the kids like to say.
What do you make about Romero? He looked up really... He obviously went in with his head for the goal, got a little bit of a concussion protocol, put on his ass. Better safe than sorry sort of vibes. He wasn't happy with it.
No, and... you kind of want to see that from your players. You do want to see the fire. You want to see them be like, "Nah, I'm all right to stay on the pitch, etc." We saw it with Salah getting really furious that his streak of scoring on the opening day every season has been ended. It's concussions are nothing to sniff at. I think I've had 4 in my life, and they're very horrible. It's why I'm saying that my memory's terrible, because of taking so many smashes to the head, but. Yeah, they're bad. I don't mind that protocol. I'd rather see players getting protected, especially if the games are going to go longer and longer and longer. Yeah, get them off the pitch.
I think this might have been the most egregious example of stoppage time used at the weekend. The first half, obviously because of Romero in part, but obviously the goals as well, accounting for every little second that was stopped through the entire first half. 11 minutes of stoppage time in that first half at the G-Tech Community Stadium.
What do you make of... was it in this game? When Vicario got a straight yellow for delaying the spot kick.
I think they're taking it a bit too far with certain examples of throwing a yellow card out, because there was 2 examples this weekend. One was Bruno, I think, in the Newcastle game, where he went like that after someone did a bit of a naughty tackle. Then he ended up with a yellow card for doing that. I think it's...
McAllister got the same.
It feels like we're changing the rules for changing the rules' sakes. And especially with this 2 people in the dugout thing. I was watching that Arsenal game, obviously the first game of the season, the first game of the Saturday, sorry, looking for this new rule to come out and see what's going to happen. The Arsenal technical area always had 2 people at the front of it. Newcastle's always had 2 at the front of it. Unai Emery was like, good evening, and then was like, just going like, look, there's 2 of them there, 4th official, do something about it. It just feels like we're changing the rules for changing the rules' sakes at the minute.
Yeah, I don't agree with that one. And we said before, referees do deserve protection, but they also need to be held accountable. Like you're saying with Bruno, I don't like seeing that stuff. And
it's not a yellow card, though, is it? It's not that severe, is it, going like that? I know you shouldn't do it because it's a bit of ungentlemanly conduct and stuff like that, but it's not a yellow card offence, surely.
Yeah, especially with some players who English is their second language. It could be a break, like the easiest way to get their point across. It's the fact that we can't have conversations anymore. The referee's just like, nope. And it's like, I don't like that. It's giving them too much power without making them explain their actions, which we'll come on to later. Don't worry about that.
Yes, we will. We might as well talk about it now, because on Monday night, obviously Monday Night Football, Manchester United got very lucky indeed in their 1-0 victory over Wolverhampton Wanderers, who I think upset a lot of detractors by playing a very, very good game under Gary O'Neill.
Yeah, again, a little peek behind the curtain how the sausage is made. When we were sorting out when we were recording today. I messaged Ross just saying, look, I need to catch up with the Man U game. And I think I'm going to censor myself here, but you basically said Man United were poo. Wolves were robbed, basically, of a point at least.
They should have got a couple of goals. Yeah, and then obviously the big talking point is at the end of the game. Onana goes up for a ball into the box. He clatters into Sasa. I'm going to butcher this. Kaladzic. I think I've said that correctly, and obviously referee Simon Hooper was referred to the pitch side monitor by the VAR people at Stockley Park, but surprisingly, he stood by his initial decision instead of awarding the visitors a penalty, essentially. So he was told to go to the thing to have a second look, and he said no, and I don't think that's right at all. I think if people are saying go and have a look, they should be forced to go and have a look.
Yeah. Exactly. It's this was the only thing I'd seen before watching the highlights today, because it was obviously all over social media, and it was a terrible error by the keeper. And this is obviously coming on the back of the Everton game as well, where the keeper dropped the ball and Everton were robbed of a goal, which I thought was a mistake by the refs as well. And we can't even go one weekend in the new league without questioning the refs. Wolves were robbed of a penalty. Whether they would have converted it, who's to say? But if I was a Wolves fan, I'd be feeling really angry about this.
Yeah, Gary O'Neill was speaking about it in his post-match press coverage, and he revealed the PGMOL's Jonathan Moss had already apologised to him by the time he was doing his post-match press coverage, like 20 minutes after the full-time whistle. And apparently Jonathan Moss said Wolves should have been awarded a penalty kick away at Old Trafford, but it's the old adage, isn't it? The away teams don't get them, but if the same thing happened for the home team, the referee would have been blown straight away. I think I read as well that Simon Hooper and his two officials, linesmen, have been dropped to the championship for this weekend's game. So one mess up and you're gone.
Yeah, but Wolves won't care about that because they'll be back soon. It's like I've said 1,000 times, and I'll keep saying it till I'm blue in the face. At the end of a game, you should have someone involved with the referee's team, maybe not the referee or the linesman, or someone from the team to explain their decisions, rather than either having Howard Webb occasionally saying, we gave this one offside because he was 5 foot offside, or having, Mark Clattenburg, all retired, being like, oh, well, for me, that's bad. It's lines of communication. Even if they come out and say, take accountability for it, you'd be less annoyed. But it's the fact that we don't have this clarity. It's just annoys everyone.
It does.
It does.
I'm giving you one of them because that was a fantastic rant. Anyway, on to the transfer news of the last week. Obviously, this last 7 days has seen Bayern Munich complete the long-awaited signing of Harry Kane from Tottenham Hotspur. The 30-year-old decided a 4-year contract with the Bundesliga Giants, bringing this curtain down on his glittering Spurs career that saw him usurp Jimmy Greaves as the club's all-time record goal scorer. Bayern will obviously pay €100 million, 86.4 million British pounds for Harry Kane, but the deal could be worth more with add-ons. Harry Kane ends his career, or maybe for the time being, we should say, he could always come back, couldn't he? His Premier League record, 320 appearances, 213 goals in the Premier League there, 46 assists as well, 280 goals in all competitions for Spurs, obviously their most of all time. He's got 3 golden boots in the Premier League for the 15-16, 16-17 and 20 and 21 seasons, and he's done all right, hasn't he? He's done okay.
How many goals was he off breaking Shearer's record now?
47 if my memory serves.
So I take it you're very happy?
I'm not. It is what it is. Newcastle fans are having fun with it. Alan Shearer's having fun with it. Records are there to be broken. I mean, It's nice to see them broken in it when you're alive. Yeah. That's a very morbid thing to say. Imagine being dead and then, Harry Kane breaks the record. It means nothing to you, does it?
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, if there is an afterlife and I'm floating there as a ghost, I'd be like, I wish I was still alive to see these records broken. We've been saying for weeks on the podcast now that we kind of expected this to happen. I think it's a good move for all involved. Maybe not Tottenham, but we'll see if they properly reinvest in this window. Yeah,
I just don't know. I can see obviously the appeal of wanting to win trophies and maybe having a better shot at the Champions League. But surely, if you're an Englishman playing in the Premier League for your home, your team essentially, breaking that all-time Premier League record is going to mean more than a Bundesliga if you don't go on and win the Champions League.
Yeah, again, I'm going to have to censor myself because I know what YouTube's like. But I saw a tweet saying winning your first trophy with Bayern Munich is like losing your virginity to a lady of the night.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So good for him. He there is a sadness in his eyes when you look at him, though, isn't there?
That's what Kayla was saying next door there when there was that video of him walking up the stairs into the Allianz Arena and they're playing the Champions League theme and he's with his wife and his kids and like, oh, those poor kids getting taken away from their friends at school just to go to Germany so his dad can win a trophy.
Do you reckon the whole family will move out there full time, or?
I don't know how it works. You would assume so. I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm not too sure. Because obviously, Rafa Benitez's family always just stayed in West Kirby wherever he was working, and with it not being that far away, England from Germany, you'd assume he'd have a gaff in Germany and come back whenever he can. I don't know.
We'll have to see. Give him a phone call. See what's happening.
Yeah. Like, all right, Harry.
Hey, how's it going? You all right?
Yes, Harold. How's your brother?
Of course, Harry Kane had his first chance to win a major trophy for Bayern Munich on Saturday night, but they lost a 3-0 defeat to RB Leipzig in the German Super Cup at their home stadium as well. Which makes you think that maybe Harry Kane's the issue, that England couldn't go on and win the trophies he's been involved in, the World Cups and the Euros as well. Spurs have won sweet bugger all since he's been there. Maybe it's Harry Kane who's the issue.
Well, yeah, luckily now Harry Kane plays for Germany because that's how it works. But it's like someone said, it's the level of expectation at Bayern Munich that they don't win this, Super Cup, and they're just saying, oh, heads may roll for this. They need 100% perfection and stuff. I wonder what kind of player will Kane be in this new league, then coming into a new team? Will he see this as like, right, I've got to step up and I'm going to lead by example kind of thing? Or do you think the occasion could get to him? We don't know until we're halfway through the season at the very least.
I think you'll be fine. I just think it was a bit of an off day for Bayern Munich, but only time will tell. Will it? Jack Atkins, he's there to replace Lewandowski. Obviously, he went for Barcelona last year, so he's got that to live up to, and all the best to him because Lewandowski did all right, didn't he, for Bayern Munich?
He was quite good, yeah. He was all right.
One highlight of the game, obviously, I think everyone's would have seen this on social media, was the Bayern players moaning at the referee for a decision he gave. Harry Kane runs over and sort of goes... and then remembers he can only speak one word in German, which I think was hello, survey or something, which means hello in German. I forget what he said in that press conference.
I was going to say hello in German is just hello.
Was it higher maybe? It was like, because I thought he was on about service. Is it service? Survey. I remember thinking like, oh, he must mean like, I want a ball into the box for me to stick me bonds on for a goal, like service or something like whatever it was. He only knows one word in German as when this game was taking place. The referee, the German word for referee, I should say, the masculine version, just to get that right as well, is Scheidsrichter. Scheidsrichter. Go on, give it a go, Jack Atkins. You can see it in front of you, can't you? Scheidsrichter. So imagine that with Harry Kane's lisp. He's not got a hope in hell, has he? Bless his cotton socks. Scheidsrichter. I feel terrible for doing that, but there we go.
We were all thinking it.
I know. We've went and said it. Anyway, on to Saudi Arabia corner, everybody. This one's a painful one because go back a few years and Aymeric Laporte was one of, if not the standout central defender in the Premier League. But now, at the age of 29, the Spanish international is going to Saudi Arabia, to Al Nassr, Ronaldo's team, for a 2-year contract and open to the possibility of more. Manchester City, for some reason, are willing to sell. I don't know how many centre-halves they've got on the books, but you would assume they would probably need someone like Laporte fighting on 4 fronts every single season.
Yeah, because it's the old cliche, isn't it, that now it's not just a team game, it's a squad game. And I still think Laporte can go as well. It's not even like he's some kind of knackered old has-been. It's like, oh, go on, get paid for a couple of glory years in Saudi Arabia. 29-year-old. That's like the prime age, really, for centre back, isn't it?
Yeah, and he was, as I say, one of the standouts. You go back to maybe pre-lockdown, he was one of the standouts, was he? Maybe post-lockdown as well. Obviously, he's lost his place to Stones and Diaz. Is the favoured pairing, I would say, for Pep at the moment when Stones is available. And obviously, Gvardiol coming in maybe puts him as 4th choice. But being 4th choice of Manchester City, you're still going to get at least 30 games a season, you'd think.
Exactly, yeah. Has this deal actually gone through now? Or
not officially, but they're pushing, apparently.
So by the time this is out, we don't know.
He could be there. Next up, in Saudi Arabia corner, Al Hilal have confirmed the signing of superstar forward Neymar from Paris Saint-Germain for a fee of around 90 million euros, which is 77.6 British pounds for the 31-year-old, bringing an end to a 6-year stay in Paris for Neymar. He's put pen to paper on a 2-year deal in Saudi Arabia and has picked the number 10 jersey to wear at Al Hilal. The League One club, of course, back in 2017 made Neymar the most expensive player of all time. It's signed him for 190 million pounds from Barcelona. He won 5 Ligue 1s in Paris, but struggled to make... I couldn't believe this when I read this. Well, I'll read it out word for word so I get it right. He struggled to make a number of appearances through muscle injuries, which made him fail to make more than 22 league appearances in any of his 6 campaigns with the club. 22 appearances was the most he played in every single season he was there.
Yeah, I'm surprised he stayed there for as long as he did, because it almost felt like as soon as he signed for PSG, he was looking to be like, can someone get me kind of out of this league, kind of open to offers. I don't know if his reputation of being not a troublemaker, but a bit of a disruptive influence kind of stopped him getting a move out of the league. I'm surprised that he's 31 as well. In my head, he was still in his 20s. He's one of those evergreen players. It's a shame, isn't it? Because I felt like he still had more to offer despite his muscle injuries. He's still a great player, Neymar.
He is, yeah. You just see that every time a World Cup comes around. I remember thinking just the shock and horror of that move to Paris Saint-Germain initially, because he's leaving Barcelona. He was leaving that front three of him, Messi and Suarez to go to Paris Saint-Germain, which I think tells you more about him than anything else. Why would you leave that to go to Paris Saint-Germain? But that was, again, back in 2017, so I guess we're all over it now, aren't we? Maybe I'm just not. I miss those days.
As for why he went to Saudi Arabia, did you see the clip of Fabinho that was doing the rounds?
The Rolex.
Yeah, a fan gave him a Rolex for playing well.
It was a journalist, wasn't it? Which makes it even worse, in my opinion. An impartial journalist.
Even that, you know, we're technically journalists, and I haven't even got enough for a Rolex for myself. Never mind someone who had a good game of footy. If
you do want to send us a Rolex, the Cultaholic office address is on cultaholic.com, so please send us a Rolex and nothing less.
Two.
Neymar, 2 please. Neymar will be able to afford a few Rolexes in his time for Saudi Arabia, where, by the way, he's going to be playing alongside the likes of Kalidou Koulibaly, former Chelsea fame in Napoli, Ruben Neves, Milinkovic-Savic, and Malcolm as well. Didn't realise Malcolm was there. But there is a list of benefits for this deal which is being really revealed, which, if you're feeling a bit queasy, turn the podcast off now, because this will make you vomit. So, as well as receiving a salary of 100 million euros per year, Neymar will receive, inclusive of the deal, a house with 25 bedrooms, a 40 times 10 metre swimming pool and 3 saunas, 5 full-time staff all paid for at his house, a Bentley Continental GT, an Aston Martin DBX, a Lamborghini Huracan, a 24-hour driver service, once again, all paid for. All bills for hotels, restaurants and various services during his off days will be sent to the club headquarters to be paid for, once again not by him, on his 100 million years salary plus boot deals and other sponsorship thingies. A private plane at his disposal for his travels. If he fancies a jaunt back to Brazil at 11 p.m. at night, he can hire or just ask his driver service to take him down to the airport, and his private plane will fly him there whenever he wants to. He will receive 500,000 euros for each social media post that promotes Saudi Arabia, and I think that's enough.
Wow. The two things that don't make sense to me there, and don't make sense to me when hearing about the lifestyles of the rich and the famous. Who needs a 25-bedroom house? I know footballers, I'm not saying Neymar does, but I know some footballers like a good old-fashioned orgy, but even then you don't need 25 bedrooms.
Well, Neymar does when his sister's involved.
Yeah, I mean, and they've given them these supercars and be like, you got these cool cars, but you've also got a driver, so just look at the cars if you want. You don't even have to drive. Nah.
What's the point of having a car that quick anyway when the law is a thing? We can all go 30 miles an hour, no quicker. You know what I mean? 70 on the motorways. We can't go any quicker. What's the point of having a supercar?
Perhaps he's going to get it taken to Germany and he's just going to go down those German roads at 400 miles an hour.
I'm sure he'll pack his car and himself into his private jet to fly there whenever he wants to. Anyway, it's disgusting, and all the best to him for being able to get that sort of deal signed off. I actually feel a bit sick now. Anyway, Chelsea have announced the British record transfer of Moises Caicedo from Brighton Hove Albion, moving for around £115 million, which surpasses the £106.8 million which was spent on Enzo Fernandez in January of this year. 21-year-old Caicedo has signed an 8-year contract at Stamford Bridge until 2031. Caicedo only joined Brighton in 2021 for as little as £4 million and spent part of his first year with the club, which by the way was in 2021, just 2 years ago, part of his first year on loan at Beerschot in Belgium, which is a very powerful name for a football team. Who'd you play for? Beerschot.
Yeah, this has been a protracted deal, hasn't it, Ross?
As a Liverpool fan, how are you feeling?
On Friday, my head went. I'm not afraid to say it. My head completely went. I don't know what we're playing at, because there's some people saying that we may have been played by the agent because they were waiting because obviously Chelsea were rumbling on. So some people may have thought that, let's give a little message to Liverpool saying, hey, put on a bid for like Caicedo, we'll come to you. And obviously after he signed for Chelsea, there was that nice video of him and I think his mum, and it flashed back to him back in the day wearing a Chelsea shirt.
You haven't seen who his heroes are, though?
What was that, sorry?
He's got two proper Chelsea heroes from his youth, and they are Robert Huth and Yuri Jarosic.
Robert Huth?
I've just made that up. I saw an article that was like, Moises Caicedo reveals his two heroes from Chelsea from his youth. I'm just like, let's just say it's Yuri Jarosic, the lanky ball prick, and also Robert Huth, who was also, there.
But is he worth 115? No, but like we said many times, the market dictates how much they go for. We've seen Declan Rice, and like you said before, Enzo as well has kind of distorted the midfielder market in this country. So he's worth as much as anyone's willing to pay for him. He's a really good player. I think he would have, as we saw at the weekend, he would have definitely made a difference to both teams. Liverpool have been played. We've also now played our hand. Some people are reckoning that we only put in that bid just to kind of mess with Chelsea because our owners are fuming with them. Apparently, we've gone to the FA to grass them up for saying, we spent £1 billion, sorted.
Yeah, but they're doing it within the rules, though.
Exactly.
Until me and Owen did a video last night, which is on the channel now if you want a full deep dive. But I was reading many articles to try and make sense of how they're doing it. And basically, it's like before Christ and after Christ. It's like before the rule change and after the rule change. They've got half the pot of money they spent, or not half, over half the pot was spent before the rules were changed, and then this summer's transfer dealings in the pot when the legislation's changed. So all these deals are either split over 8 years or over 5 years. It's wonderful how they're doing it, but they are going to get a massive fine if they don't get back into Europe this season and also sort out multiple revenue streams for the club. It's wonderful how they're doing it.
As you've seen, I've taken my hat off to Todd Bowley because he played some absolutely insane chess here. I am worried for this, though, because it sets a bad precedent. Because either Chelsea get, like you said, absolutely buggered, and, who knows how bad this could be if it doesn't play off, or it does pay off, and that opens the floodgates for even more stupid amounts of money to change hands in this league. And, we saw Nottingham Forest spending absolutely mentally last season. Who's to say that there isn't a team that will follow Chelsea's advice and might end up in absolute trouble, liquidation, all that kind of stuff?
It all depends.
Like I said,
a big part of it as well was saleable assets. Like you think about the amount of players that Chelsea have sold. They've recouped about 250 to 300 million pounds on player sales alone, which has helped buy I think I read somewhere as well, if you times that by 5, that's basically what you can spend within the rules or something like that. It all plays into a big pie, a big mathematical pie. So the fact they've managed to recoup, for example, a 60 million profit on Mason Mount, who was a youth academy product, they've managed to get their money back exactly for Havertz. They've made profits on other players. The amount of players they've sold has actually really helped them out again, but it's the short term. If they don't get back into Europe this season, then the season after, when the accounts are fouled, that's where they're really going to get buggered. Hopefully.
it's proper maverick behaviour, and yeah, but like I said, there is a part of me that's, I don't think envious is the word, but just being like, oh, it'd be nice to just go balls to the wall. But
it does make you wonder, though, because I'm sat here as a Newcastle fan with the richest owners in the world, wondering why aren't we doing something similar? I know we have no saleable assets in our squad currently. We're having to give players away for basically what their contracts are worth. Like Leeds took Carl Darlow, who I think maybe we could have pushed for 5 million for Carl Darlow, but we gave him away for 400 grand because that's what was remaining on his contract. We have no saleable assets, which makes me think that might be the reason we're not doing it. But then again, if we're going to get all these revenue streams from these Saudi Arabian companies that are made up out of nowhere, like Seller, our front of shirt sponsors that was created a matter of months before they were on the front of our shirts, why aren't we doing it? There's something not adding up with it for me as a Newcastle fan.
Yeah, well, like I said, to use the word envious isn't really the point, but yeah, it's just, I know that Liverpool fans, we like to moan, and there are plenty of teams who have got it worse than we have, but like someone said, we are one of the biggest clubs in the world. We should be able to just flash the cash and spend, and like we said, we've shown our hand now by trying to bid 100, and I think it was 111 we bid for Caicedo. Because I think the thing going on the grapevine was, Chelsea can only spend 105 million. So if you pip them to it, then it's a big two fingers to him and you get the player. I think, that's... I don't know if I can say good signing in terms of the money that's gone out, but in terms of the player that they're bringing in and the role he will fill for Chelsea, good bit of business.
Yeah, it is good. I think it is a good bit of business. It'll pay itself off eventually. Maybe, I don't know. On top of that, Chelsea are believed to have activated the release clause of Michael Olise, and it is expected to be all completed in due course. £35 million this one. The 21-year-old is currently recovering from injury. I'm intrigued to see where he'll fit into the starting 11, because they started obviously with it was like a 3-4-3 come 5-3-2 sort of formation. No real space for a winger in there. Maybe he can just play off Jackson and just be a floater up the top of the pitch, just being here, then everywhere. But it's an interesting signing for me, Elise.
Yeah, and the profile as well. It seems that they are buying very young as well. So I don't know what kind of deal he's on, but I assume it's, again, another 8-year, we'll pay you out the arse kind of thing. Do
you reckon they're doing that just in case they don't get in Europe and then have to sell the saleable assets again just to balance the sheets, balance the books?
Potentially, but I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? I don't think an 8-year contract should be. It just doesn't seem right, considering that could be someone's entire career.
But they have to sign it, don't they? They don't have to sign it.
Yeah, that's true.
It is true. More good news for Liverpool. Chelsea have finalised an agreement with Southampton to sign Romeo Lavia. Why didn't Liverpool just give them 50 million when they wanted 50 million? Why has it gone this far? They bid 60 yesterday, didn't they, Liverpool, before this all came out?
Apparently, yeah, and Lavia said no, and I can't blame him. We've dicked him around. I can't blame him at all. We were the kind of rationale behind this. Again, this is plucked out of the air. This isn't an official line from Liverpool or anything. People were thinking that we were kind of going a bit slow because either this Caicedo deal was up in the air with Chelsea and we'd heard stuff through the grapevine. Thought if we keep this slow, if there's an opening there, we go in for the big hitter. But we've shot ourselves right in the cock. It's the only thing I don't understand is if you were Lavia and seeing that they've just signed Caicedo, why would you sign?
Because they play three in the middle, don't they? They'll have Enzo and then Caicedo, and then Lavia will be there for the third.
Yeah, I suppose, but
I guess he's only 19 as well, so I guess not playing every week isn't that crucial when you're 19. That's from my perspective. I wouldn't mind being a bench warmer at 19, learning from these established pros on the pitch, like 21-year-old Moises Caicedo.
But when my head fell off on Friday, I was going berserk to some of my mates. I was like, why? If you were given the chance to play with Jurgen Klopp's mustard reds, where you're a guaranteed starter every week, why would you go to absolutely mental, no Europe Chelsea, ran by a lunatic and a manager who's never won anything? My head went completely out the window. I'm not afraid to say it. And I've calmed down now. And I can't blame either of them for signing their deals. I hope they make a lot of money, but I also hope that they are crap and we can buy them both for 20p next season.
But apparently that's a big part of it as well, this entire FFP dodging, is the fact that you like your Mounts and your Havertzes and your whoever else. Ziyech is leaving today, isn't he? He's going to he's going to Turkey, isn't he? He's going to Fenerbahce or Galatasaray, one of the two, I can't remember. All those players are on massive wages in comparison to what Caicedo and Lavia and people like that are getting. So that's another thing that Todd's doing well. Up the Todd.
I'm not up in the Todd. No, I'm not. I can't do it.
He's an evil genius. As is Kepa Arrizabalaga from Chelsea, because he's going somehow to Real Madrid. I think he is comfortably the worst keeper in the Premier League. I think he is absolutely putrid. But because Thibaut Courtois got an ACL injury last week, obviously he's going to be out for a while, as is Militao, I think, who went down with the same injury in the same game. They were looking to get Bono, I think, in from Sevilla. But that didn't happen, so they've gone for Kepa. He's terrible. He's awful. He's the worst. Yeah. Why is he going to Madrid?
I didn't realise what was going on, because obviously when Chelsea announced the lineups the other day, I was like, I don't recognise who that sub-keeper is. What's going on here? On a slight aside, the amount of players going down to ACL injuries is a bit mad at the moment. I don't know if this is an early sign that players are playing too much. Who knows? But good for Kepa. He's managed to find himself at Real Madrid, where if that midfield, performs like that midfield will, he probably won't have to face a single shot on target all season. So he might get by the skin of his teeth.
He'll face one and it'll fly in. I mean, this is the most egregious signing they've made since Julian Forbert. No doubt about it. Do you remember that period of time when they were signing Forbert and Adebayor and people like that? This is worse than that.
Good old Thomas Gravison as well.
The mad bastard. He's one of my favourite players in, just reading stories about him. Anyway, David Raya has gone from Brentford to Arsenal on an initial season-long loan with the option for a 30 million transfer next summer. You'd assume he's going to start on the bench waiting for Ramsdale to drop a bollock, which we know he can't do, and that's when he'll get his chance. Do you think that by the end of the season, Raya will be number one and Ramsdale number two?
Potentially, yeah, because we were talking about this on last week's episode, weren't we? Because it hadn't gone through then, but it looked like it was happening. It's a wait-and-see approach, because like you said, Ramsdale is rash, but I would feel bad for him if he did lose his place, because I do think he is a good keeper. All the chatter I've seen is most people expect Raya to get the number one shirt. Yeah,
I wouldn't mind it if Ramsdale lost it, him coming to Newcastle. Because, God bless Nick Pope, he's fantastic, but he can't kick a football to save his life.
Would you take Ramsdale over Pope?
Oh, yeah. I think he's just as good as shopstopper, and he's also got he's a bit better with his feet than Nick Pope is. He's not the best, but I think, you go back to, remember the outlook of Ramsdale after that Liverpool draw at Anfield in the spring. Everyone was saying, wow, he's finally arrived as one of the world's great goalkeepers. Obviously, he made a couple of clangers. I think at Brighton to home is one of the most obvious ones. West Ham away, I think he could have done better with one of their goals as well. But it's a rapid sort of decline in terms of people's outlook on Aaron Ramsdale for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. The spring to the end of the season feels like just everyone's gone, wow, we don't fancy him anymore. Because remember, everyone's going, oh, he should be taking Jordan Pickford's spot in the England team. I still think that should be the case anyway. But it just feels like a couple of clangers, not massive. In terms of what they were going for in the league and whatnot, yeah, maybe they were massive ones, but they weren't like Massimo Taibi levels of clanger. They were still pretty big, but not that big. And it just feels like everyone just doesn't fancy him anymore. It's very strange.
Well, like it seems that shirt is his until he absolutely drops a bollock. I wonder if he is noticing this as well. Perhaps Arteta is playing, again, a game of 4D chess and thinking, if I bring in Raya, it's a win-win situation, because either he books his ideas up and fights for those gloves and keeps the shirt, or I just throw Raya in and he's got.
You've nailed it on the head. All I hope is that Win the dog is happy. I'm a big fan of Win the dog. You seen the dog called Win?
You've told me about Win the dog, yeah.
He lives at the Arsenal training ground. Chocolate Labrador. Might be a she now I've said it. I do beg my pardon. Win the dog. Fantastic. Has a throne.
Probably eats better than we do as well.
Yep, will do. Harry Maguire's proposed transfer to West Ham has collapsed. Man United initially rejected the 30 million bid from West Ham over concerns about their their ability to satisfy the centre-back's wage demands, only to agree a deal, and then that's now just not happened. Where does this leave Harry Maguire? Because over the past season, he's lost his place in the Man United team, he's been stripped of the captaincy, he's nearly agreed to move to another team, and now he's going back to the team that just basically doesn't want him.
Well, Ten Hag clearly just thinks he's crap, doesn't he? Going off the notes here.
What's happening here? Oh, he's pulled his microphone cable out.
My cable fell out.
What a dickhead. Why you not got a desk there today?
I have got a desk here today, but last week my back was in absolute tatters, so I'm still figuring everything out. We were having a little conversation before we started recording. I'm going to try and get a better mic. So for today, you should see the state of it. It looks absolutely terrible. Although the surroundings look fancy, underneath here it's the trampiest setup you've ever seen. I don't know where Maguire's gone, because according to the notes saying it's a kind of it's a wage demand issue, and it's like he's not kind of taken the hint. Is that what the best I can say?
Well, he's so far up his own arse, I don't think his ears work anymore. They're just covered in flesh from his rectal cavity. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, because what was it that he's basically saying? Oh, well, because I'm going to be, losing out on wages, man. Do you want to give me like a golden handshake? And they're just like, no, you're losing wages because we think you're crap. We're not going to give you the money. No, just accept it. He's probably already on a stupid amount of money, and going down on lesser wages at West Ham is still more than you and I will probably earn in a decade a week. Yeah. So, Sodom.
Yeah, Sodom. He's up. I just don't like him. I don't like anything about Harry Maguire anymore, even though he's been one of England's stand-up players over the past 5 years, but that's besides the point. And finally, we've got to mention Kylian Mbappé, because it looked like being the biggest transfer saga of the summer a few weeks ago. He'd been cast out at Paris Saint-Germain. Now, all of a sudden, he's back in. He's back in first-team training after what they've put as constructive and positive discussions regarding his future. And Mbappé has reiterated his desire to stay at Paris Saint-Germain beyond this summer, despite not taking up the option to trigger a clause in his contract that would extend it until the summer of 2025. Obviously, Paris Saint-Germain had accepted the world record offer of £257 million from Al Hilal, but that didn't come to fruition. And now he's back. He's going to Japan after they refused to select him for the tour of Japan. It's all come to a horrible, just damp squib of an ending. That didn't sound like English, did it? A damp squib of an ending.
I wonder if Neymar going has changed his mind. And now, without Neymar, without Messi there, even though he pretty much was the top dog, he is now the undisputed top dog. He'll probably get a bit more power and a bit more say over whatever goes on at the club. I'm surprised he's staying. He'll probably end up at Real Madrid next season, won't he? So
yeah, he probably will do. And that is it for all the big transfer dealings of the last 7 days. It's been another busy week in the world of football. We now move on, though, to our highlight of the week. And Jack Atkins, for my highlight of the week, I want you to explain to the good people at home the very concept of Wetherspoons over here in the UK.
So Wetherspoons is ran by a horrible man, but it is... I'm pretty sure the business model is it's a cheap pub, basically. I'm sure the business model is they buy beer from breweries that's just about to expire, so they get it for cheaper. Therefore, they can sell it for cheaper, then they're going great. And they do cheap food, and you get people in there from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. and it's a bit grim, but it's Wetherspoons.
It's cheap, and that's the most important thing. Basically, it's not the sort of place you'll ever expect to see a Premier League footballer, never mind someone like Sandro Tonali, but in Wetherspoons, Gosforth, just outside of Newcastle there, one of the two Wetherspoons in Gosforth, I'm not sure which one, there was a sign on the table which read, Wetherspoon, this table is reserved from 1945 for Tonali. If you would like to reserve a table, please speak to a member of staff or contact us on blah 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 phone number. And then all of a sudden, the man himself has turned up to Wetherspoons in Gosforth. It's clear for all to see what has happened here is that Sandro Tonali has asked the dressing room at Newcastle United, lads, where's a good spot to eat in town? Where would you recommend I would go for a meal with my good lady for a nice night out in Newcastle upon Tyne? And Jacob Murphy, the little scamp, I can see it being him with his big smile. I can see it being him with his massive mouth going, oh, you should try out this lovely 5-star restaurant called Wetherspoons. And Sandro Tonali has taken the bait and he's gone to Wetherspoons for a nice little meal. It is an unbelievable story. I can't believe it's happened. He's gone from Milan to Wetherspoons, and that is my highlight of the week.
Any word on if it was beer and a burger night or curry club or anything, or was it just a normal night in Spoons?
I don't know. It could have been a curry club night, could have been a steak club night, could have been... what other nights are there at Wetherspoons of a week? Is it just curry and steak?
No, I've not been for years.
When I go, I get the 3 for £12 business. That's where I'm at.
going all in.
In terms of we share it with my girlfriend. Obviously, I'm not that fat. Not that fat. I am quite fat though. But yeah, you get 3 for $12. I always go at the chicken wings, chicken bites, and maybe some halloumi fries. The dipping sauces are delightful. They do this honey hickory barbecue thing. Whoa, lovely.
I think the last time I was in a Wetherspoons, it was pre-pandemic, and my mate Phil was that pissed that he had 3 dinners in one day. But yeah, because I saw this doing the rounds, and at first it was just the picture of the table with reserved for Tonali, and I thought, oh, it's either a prank or someone's phoned up as a joke, said, oh, I have to save it for Tonali, and then you sent us the full thing with the picture of him in there with fans. And you love to see it, don't you?
You do. It's the common touch. It's Raja Kipling. It's Des Lynam. It's all that sort of stuff once again. Bringing the tear to my eye. But I think the biggest shame is that Tonali doesn't have, it didn't put on Instagram, I should say, his table number. So people could have sent him drinks. It's always, that's one thing I've never used my YouTube fame for, is doing that. And I always wish I could do, but I always feel bad.
You say that, we just asked for free Rolexes 10 minutes ago.
But it's different putting your table number on Twitter and going, buy me what you want. It would end terribly for me, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I've seen you a bottle of wine deep, not being able to comprehend that my name was Clive. So
I just meant in terms of maybe milk and roast potatoes coming to the table or something like that.
I'd love that. As the straight edge boy of the office. Oh, yeah, buy me milk and roast potatoes.
Well, next week after our meal out, we're going to go to Wetherspoons and put our table numbers on Instagram or something like that and see what happens.
Whoa, tell you what.
What's your highlight of the week?
It was originally going to be Twat of the Week, because when it happened, I called all involved knobheads. But then I was just laughing at it. And it was Roy Hodgson, 245 years old. Last week, I think he turned 76, didn't he?
Yeah.
Ready to fight 26-year-old Max Lowe during Fulham's game the other day. So if you didn't see it, Max Lowe, the ball went out. Max Lowe went to get it. Roy was trying to pick it up as well. And it looks like Lowe's just kind of swiped him out the way and just dug him in the stomach. And Roy was ready to fight him. And I know he's an old Cockney ragamuffin, is Roy. And he's probably had a few scraps in his day. But this was a Premier League athlete in his 20s who he was starting on. And he would have gotten filled in the soft get. But it was boss. At first, because obviously Liverpool fan, no love lost with Roy Hodgson. But after the dust had settled, I was giggling about it. It was brilliant.
It was very... Do you remember 10 years ago, the Wealdstone Raider? It was very oh, go on in. Oh, give it you. Oh, yeah. It was fantastic. Because, to be fair, I thought that Max Lowe was in the wrong. Why did he put his hand in Roy's precious little tum-tum like that, eh? Why did he do that? That was unnecessary. No wonder Roy kicked off.
I think, though, because it was all this stuff about time wasting and stuff, he probably thought, I want to get the game kicked back off in the interest of sport and fairness. And Rory was probably going to use some of his old tactics to kind of juggle it and be a bit of an arsehole, wasn't he? So I don't think it was intentional, him giving a very soft jab to the gut of what is a man approaching his 80s. But yeah, it was great.
I love the Kavorka, though. 50 years of difference. Still wants to take him on. Up the way, Hodgson. We move on from our highlight of the week to the twat of the week. I think we're all in unison this week. I'm going to pretend the PGMOL, the Professional Game Match Officials... the Professional Game Match Officials Limited is a person. So let's pretend Pogmol or Pugmol is a person, and that is my twat of the week. It was going to be that massive pissy pants hypocrite Jurgen Klopp for my twat of the week this week, but this I think takes the biscuit.
Why Jurgen? Jurgen's lovely.
He's a pissy pants. Oh, there's only one team who are going to be struggling with the two rule in the technical area thing, and that's going to be Newcastle. He's rattled by Newcastle. Also, his backtracking on the transfer business. Oh, Manchester City spending 100 million on a player. Oh, that can't ever happen. This isn't football. Oh, let's bid 115 for Caicedo. Arsehole.
One, I think he was joking about the Newcastle thing, and Newcastle fans are rattled by Liverpool, because I've got a mate who has terrible takes on Twitter who said that he thinks that Newcastle will comfortably outdo Chelsea and Liverpool this season, and the only players he'd take from Liverpool are Andy Robertson and Alisson, so he's full of crap. Two,
hang on, let me think about it. I'll have Alisson, I'll have Salah,
Gakpo. Surely.
Where's he fit in Newcastle's team?
Anywhere in that front four, basically. He's fantastic.
Gakpo?
Gakpo?
He hasn't done enough for me yet. Maybe at the end of the season, if he's got 20 goals, I'll take him. But at the minute, who scores more, him or Almiron in the Premier League? I think Almiron does he not?
Oh, I don't know. We'd have to get the numbers up. You wouldn't take Trent? You wouldn't take
I'd take
Van
Trent.
Dijk?
Oh, I'd take Trent. Yeah, I would take Trent.
No.
That's three. That's two. That's three then.
I'm sure with the £100 million player thing, I'm sure he said those comments 7 years ago, and a lot has changed. But he's a twat, but he's our twat. Let's get back on it. The PGMOL, Ross.
Yes, they told Gary O'Neill that they made a massive mistake. There was no, obviously, go back and listen to Jack Atkins' wonderful rant earlier in the podcast. Let's echo those sentiments and just call the Professional Game Match Officials Limited a collective set of twats, a gaggle of twats, a council of twats. What's your favourite collective thing? Like, you know, you get like a gaggle of ravens or something? What are they called?
Gaggle of geese.
Gaggle of geese. Collective names for
Murder of crows.
For animals. Oh yeah, murder of crows is a good one. I'm sure crabs has got a good one.
An itch of crabs.
Do you want to know if you can get a troop of baboons, a shoal of bass, a sounder of boar, a caravan of camels? That's what I'm talking about. Up the caravans of camels. What was I saying there? What was I saying? Oh, what was it? Crabs. I'm looking for seas. Up the seas. Colts, cows, coyotes. You can get a band of coyotes. Crows are murder. Crocodiles are float or a basque. There's no crabs on there. That's a shame. Anyway,
Make one up.
They're a set. They're a tower of twats.
Yeah.
I love that giraffes is a tower. You see a group of giraffes. It's called the Tower of Giraffes.
That sounds like a funk band. I'm into that.
Yeah. LSD ridden in that one, isn't there? The Tower of... No, it doesn't matter. But they are just a set of twats. They sort out what they're doing. They're changing rules for changing rules' sakes. There's no communication when they're clearly getting stuff wrong. They need to change the rule for referees like Simon Hooper going against the suggestion that you should go and look at the VAR monitor because he probably has missed something. Surely if someone's saying that, you're thinking, oh, I must have missed something. I'll have to go and check it out. You can't just bat that way.
Well, it's again, what we've said before, it's the seeming arrogance of refs in the top positions in this country that they're just like, we can tell us no wrong. We're Premier League refs. We got here on merit. It's like everything needs, holding up. Everyone can improve no matter what your job is. It does seem like an organisation where it's just jobs for the boys. They're not out to protect the game. They're not to protect the rules of the game. They seem to be out there to protect themselves. So,
amen, sister.
Yeah, like we said before, they deserve and have the right to, provide a service and to do it in peace without fear. Like after the Roma kerfuffle the other month of, fear of being attacked and all that kind of stuff. But they need accountability, they need clarity, they need lines of communication, and yeah, they need to shut up at the same time.
Shut up, the stupid idiots. Yeah, take that one.
Yeah.
We go from one gaggle of twats to another because Jack Atkins brought the news to me before the podcast today that there's no what happened to that Wunder kid, even though it was scheduled to happen today. So I'd like for you now to just explain why you're letting everybody down.
I'm letting everybody down for a handful of reasons. One, because it was the opening weekend of the Premier League that we decided to go over every match in detail, so therefore I thought we don't want it going on for too long. And two, I've had a busy week. I know this is one of my things to do, and you're busier than I generally. But also three, for next week's podcast, I will be up in Newcastle, so hopefully we'll be in the same studio, sharing a mic like the Bee Gees, and we'll do one then. And
we're actually going to have the Wonder Kid in the studio with us. That's the only way you can make it up. Imagine, right, if we're doing Freddie Adu next week and you wheeled in Freddie Adu.
Might bring David Bentley in next week. That's what I'm going to do.
He can't be doing much these days. He'd be welcoming the phone call from you, surely.
He's probably in Wetherspoons putting his table number on social media to get free pints.
And I bet he gets sweet bugger all. Anyway, on to the Roberto Mailbaggio we go. It's ross@holdandgive.com. That's ROSS, haha, at, haha, HOLD, haha, AND, haha, GIVE.com. I need to work out a catchy way to say that. It is getting busier once again, so once again, very sorry if your mailbag submission hasn't made the cut, but keep on trying. It'll get there soon, kids. Just don't stop believing. I can't do that sincere stuff at all. Anyway, all right, lads. Time to put your tinfoil hats on, as my question is about conspiracy theories. My theory is as follows. Lionel Messi joins Paris Saint-Germain in 2021. PSG is owned by the Qatar Sports Investments. Qatar hosted the 2022 World Cup, and Argentina win the final against France. Now that Lionel Messi has joined Inter Miami and the next World Cup is being held in Canada, Mexico and the USA, could lightning strike twice? Who knows? So my question is, do you have any of your conspiracy theories or believe in any existing ones? Up the hold and give. And that is from Jack from Liverpool, in brackets, not Atkins.
Yes, I didn't email you this week, Ross, to try and get myself in the podcast.
I remember you did email you remember you emailed the first week though, didn't you? I remember that one.
Did I?
Yeah, I can't remember what you sent in, but I was just like, oh, better look next week, pal. Do you remember?
Well, of course I don't remember. I think I DM'd you on Instagram, didn't I, saying something like Jack Atkins is very handsome or something along those lines.
Up for debate, but there we go. I'll go. My favourite one of recent memory, because I want to actually probably do a deep dive series on these conspiracy theories, because I do like a conspiracy theory. I don't necessarily believe them all, but I do like diving in and see what they're about. It's Lasagna Gate. West Ham and Spurs. Arsenal apparently providing the lasagna to spike the Spurs squad on the evening of like a straight Champions League fourth place shootout. West Ham defeat Spurs, a heavily depleted Spurs side. Arsenal go on and qualify for the Champions League again.
You believe that, or you just like that one?
I just like it. Just on the off chance that it might be real. Like sabotage with food. I'm all for that.
Yeah. It's like something from a kind of bawdy 1980s comedy, isn't it? Where it's just like a group of nerd football players just like, oh, let's get revenge on the jocks by poisoning the lasagna and they'll have the poos.
It's a fantastic tale if it is true. I don't know if I can't see, as far as the little bit of research I did after just remembering that one, I can't see if it's been proven true or false. So if you do, let me know. If you're the chef maybe who made the lasagna, let me know. Email in ross@holdandgive.com.
Is where you get a DM from the Romford Pele himself saying, yeah, that was me, that I rubbed me dog's arse with my hand and then slapped the lasagna a bit.
Why was that the first thing that come to your mind then?
I was going to say I pooed in it, and I thought, that's not likely, but I thought, what is disgusting? I thought, dog's bare ass.
Lovely. What's your favourite football conspiracy theory?
The only one that really came to mind is the one that I do believe in. I do think Howard Webb is definitely a Man United fan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he is.
Because usually when I get wound up by football, I'm a calm and collected man. I'm prone to a rant and going absolutely berserk, but I'm quick to come back down and apologise. And it's the same with football. I've got a mate who's terrible and he's a Liverpool fan, and obviously he's one of those that will scream foul throw where at the game and stuff. I'm just like, shut up, mate. I can accept that when we're crap. We don't get beaten because, we're brilliant and the other team are cheating. Sometimes your team are just outplayed. So yeah, in terms of conspiracy theories, I'm just usually like afterwards, I'm like, oh no, it was just a game of chances. It just didn't go our way. But Howard Webb is definitely a Man U fan. He is.
He was pictured in an executive box this week, wasn't he? Even though he's the head of got involved with the referees and somehow, I don't know what his official job title is, but no impartiality there from Howard Webb, never was. Bastard, I hate him. Anyway, hello Ross and Clive. I know he said up the Ross and Clive there. That sounds like some Cockney rhyming slam, doesn't it? Hello Ross and Clive. As a Spurs supporter, I'm absolutely gutted about the departure of Harry Kane. I know that a lot of the it's so warm in this bedroom, I'm starting to get delirious. I know a lot of the neutrals like yourselves, it seemed a bit like a no-brainer, but to us, it has been a serious blow. Harry was not just the best player the club has ever seen, he was also a lovely bloke as well. When my Auntie Lynn, who is a Spurs super fan, passed away a few years ago, her grandson was training at the academy. Harry must have heard about it through the grapevine, as he and Dele Alli took time out of their day to make an appearance at the wake and pay their respects, and that is an unbelievable story.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Not many professional footballers would have done that, and my family has nothing but love and respect for them as players as well as people. So my question is, which player leaving your respective clubs hit you the hardest? Thanks for providing some entertaining and amusing football banter/analysis. Talk sport makes my ears bleed. Yours sincerely, oh dear God, you might have to help me out here, former Nagoya Grampus and Kashiwa Real centre-back Shinosuke Nakatani. a.k.a. the bisexual Bovril Botherer, a.k.a. James from Cambridge. Up the bisexual Bovril Botherer. That's a tongue twister. Bisexual Bovril Botherer. Did I say all those words correctly? Because sometimes my mouth just moves in a direction my brain doesn't realise it's going.
As a expert on Japanese football and Bovril, it all sounded good to me.
Thank God for that. Right then, which Liverpool player leaving hit you the hardest?
Well, before we get that, I just want to say my respect has just gone up for Harry Kane and Dele Alli, because great gesture, absolutely fantastic gesture. The one that hurt me the most, obviously, there are loads that hurt at the time on and off the pitch, but the one that hurt the most for me and a lot of people of my generation, even though losing players like Robbie Fowler and Xabi Alonso really hurt, Fernando Torres, because I wasn't a kid anymore, and this was the last time. I know a lot of my mates were like, "This is the last time I fall in love with a player. This is it." It all love died after Torres went. I was working in London at the time with a Chelsea fan, and that day was ridiculous. We were just all on our phones and had the radios tuned in and finding out what was going on. And when he went, I was gutted, because we brought in Suarez and famously Andy Carroll on the same day. The plan was always for Suarez, so we were going to get Suarez and Torres leading our line, which, even though Torres had gone off the boil, he'd had a bad injury, etc., that still would have been fantastic. But yeah, after then, I never felt love again after Fernando Torres.
Wow. I don't know where to start when it comes to Newcastle players. Interestingly, though, on Fernando Torres going to Chelsea, I lived with the Scouts, as I say, a few times at university. A big Liverpool fan, went home and away, all over the place. He always made a big point of saying, the 18 months before Torres left, he was a shadow of the player that we saw in the first bit of his Liverpool career. Is that right?
Yes, it was. A lot of the fan base had not fully turned on him, but he wasn't putting in the performances anymore. Some people like to say it was after he got his hair cut, and obviously when Spain won the World Cup and there was a picture of him with the World Cup with a Liverpool scarf around his neck, and people were thinking that was him trying to buy favour with the fans again. He wasn't the same player, but still, remembering who he was when we first got him, what a player.
He was very good that first couple of years, wasn't he? As for Newcastle, I've got numerous ones. When Graham Souness started falling out with Craig Bellamy, Laurent Robert, they're the two big ones. That was the first kick in the ballocks for me as a Newcastle fan. Because as I've said a few times, my first season of being conscious of what was going on was 01-02, finishing fourth. Laurent Robert's first season at Newcastle, Craig Bellamy's first season at Newcastle. They were two players in my childhood. Then by 2005, they were both gone. The midpoint of 2005 at least. And then going on to my adulthood, Johan Cabaye, the writing was on the wall for a while. He was too good for Newcastle where we were at that point in time. Even though we were top 10 under Alan Pardew, Alok, Remy in that Newcastle squad. But he was a heavy one. And when Hatem Ben Arfa went from Newcastle to Hull on deadline day, I think it was, just seeing him rock up at Hull. Hatem Ben Arfa, for goodness sakes. He should have had the team built around him, so he just had to just waltz on the pitch and do whatever he wants, because the rest of the team would take care of the stuff that actually matters in football. What a talent. It's a shame to see him piss it all away, as he continued to do after he left Newcastle, but just there are a few names that come to mind. James Perch as well, when he went to Wigan for 750 grand. What we were doing with that business there, I don't know. He was worth at least £3.5 million, but there's so many with Newcastle. You get to it because, we were just before, the era before I got involved, we were one of the big teams in England, for the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
We were up there. Then we fell down thanks to Kenny Dalglish. Then we were built back up again thanks to Sir Bobby Robson. So it was nice to get that little taste when I was first properly getting into football. But then just seeing all the players, just that feeling of he's good, him. We're going to lose him eventually. That was a horrible period of time to go through. Hopefully now, with the investments and whatnot and Saudi Arabia getting involved, those days might be gone. We'll lose players when they're not good enough rather than being too good, if that makes any sense. So hopefully those days are gone. But yeah, this current Newcastle squad, there's too many to mention. Oh,
don't fall in love.
Can't help it. Jacob Murphy's got my heart.
After Torres, when Suarez went, we were just we were braced for this because Fernando Torres left us like everyone else did. It's inevitable.
Yeah, crap in it, football. The food chain of football.
I hate football.
Greetings, Lidlers. We can tell this person's a cultaholic fan. Day one-ish podcast listener and channel subscriber, first-time writer, etc., etc. Got a spare minute as the sun has mercifully set, and I thought I'd write in before the shiny yellow bastard gets back up and melts my melon again. What a way with words this guy's got. I just wanted to talk about something you've never mentioned on the podcast because it doesn't have anything to do with English football, but as Real Betis is my Spanish club, it was a very important event for me. Joaquin finally retired at the end of last season at the ripe old age of 41, and he was the sort of cult player any club would love to have. I won't indulge in a full lecture on the man, but here are the cliff notes. He came through the academy as a Real Betis, his boyhood club, won the Copa del Rey with the club in 2005, then promptly got married with the trophy present at the wedding as a guest of honour. He moved to Valencia, won the cup there as well, after which he was infamously photographed naked with the cup in the dressing room. He swears the photo was distorted to this day. I assume there must be a little winky on there, Jack Atkins. Oh. He returned home to Betis at the age of 34 in 2015, where he became club captain and a shareholder in the club. Wow. Didn't realise he was a shareholder. He became the oldest player to score a La Liga hat-trick at 38 years and 140 days old, beating the previous record set by none other than Alfredo de Bloody Stefano in the year of our Lord 1964. He surpassed Raul of Real Madrid fame as the outfield player with the most La Liga appearances in 2020. He won the Copa del Rey with Betis again 17 years after the first in 2022 and posed naked with the cup deliberately this time as bans needed to be had, and I'm sure little winkies remained. He became the oldest player to score in Europa League in his final season at 41 years and 56 days old, and in his final game for Betis, he equalled Andoni Zubizarreta's record of overall La Liga appearances by any player with 622. Just one more game, and he would have had it. What a shame, eh? The real miracle, though, playing till the age of 41 in a top 3 league as a pacey winger, bloody hell, I'm the same age as him and a 70-metre dash would kill me. Do they make players like this anymore? Debatable. Well, legendary career either way up the Joaquin. Mercifully, I've got nothing else to talk about, so I'll shut up now. Best of luck with the channel and the podcast. Best regards, former WWE mid-carder and Brawl for All winner, Michael Bart Gunn, how the hell do you say that? Polchlopek. Barkun, a.k.a. Ari from Parts Unmentionable. So, do they make players like Joaquin anymore, I think is the question, in the midst of what happened to that old bastard making his debut on the podcast?
In terms of staying in a top 3 league until 41, not too sure, because obviously everyone's just going to Saudi Arabia now.
Milner?
But we have seen
Zlatan?
Yeah. But we are seeing players like retire older, like how old Cristiano Ronaldo now? He's like 38?
38, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so it seems that the older age is, increasing, a bit like when they say, oh, in the medieval times, you'd be dead by 36, that kind of stuff. But I didn't realise that he had that many records to his name.
Yeah, always knew he's a good player, like from just the Spanish national team at World Cups and stuff like that. Obviously don't follow La Liga as much as some do, but it's wonderful to hear he's a shareholder in the club. Like, I couldn't imagine Paul Dummett being a shareholder in Newcastle.
I can imagine him turning up with a Newcastle polo on with a tie on as well. The ultimate combo.
But that's lovely to hear about Joaquin. It was a great lesson there. That was what happened to that old bastard. But in terms of, as Jackson says there, he's nailed it on the head. Players like that just aren't made anymore. It seems like they move on.
And it'll be interesting to see who will be the next Joaquin in that regards.
Who, if you had to nail your flag to a particular mast, who will be that man? Trent?
Mo Salah.
Ooh.
Maybe not for Liverpool, but I still think that it'll be one of those that when he's just like an old fella, he'll still be banging them in Germany or something.
It'll be for his local team in Egypt, whatever team that is. Do Egypt have a football league? I assume they do. That's a stupid thing to say.
Yeah, they must do.
Yeah. They had a player called Zidane once upon a time. Of course they do. Anyway, of course, we end with the big question, and I'm just going to come up with this off the top of my head, Atkins. Is Neymar's contract the stupidest contract of all time?
Yes.
We've heard about players getting certain add-ons to their contracts in terms of bonuses. Paul Gascoigne got a sunbed for his sister, a jacuzzi for his mum and dad, a new house for his mum and dad, but this has taken it to a different level.
I will say, for Neymar, fair balls to him. This isn't being angry at Neymar, because like we said with other things, if you were presented that, you'd have a hard time saying no. Especially as a footballer, your career is only for so long. And from sounding like that, it sounds like he doesn't have to spend a penny of that 100 million a year. Invest it. Let it just live off the interest if needs be. Fair balls to him. But in terms of what that league can pay out, it's disgusting. Why can't they give me just $1,000 a day just for being a nice man? I'll take that.
I'll take $1,000 a week if they're watching. Like, I'm a Newcastle fan. Let's just give me $1,000 a week for being a Newcastle fan. I'll sell my soul. It's life's horrible, isn't it? How it's all dependent on money and income. Or is it?
It's disgusting.
Or do we now realise that it's happiness that gets us through? It's the people that we know, the relationships that we build, and not the money that we make.
For most people, yes, but for someone like me who's antisocial and a bit ill and likes spending money on crap, it's a bit of both.
But it's going to be interesting to see going forward now that the news is out about these add-ons to this contract, what players who potentially are going to go to Saudi Arabia might ask for now. Because if I was a player who was getting interest from Saudi Arabia, I'd be going, you see all that there? I want that and this planet.
Again?
A planet. A singular planet. I want Jupiter.
Again, I'm picturing Paul Dummett asking for this and then being like, no.
Imagine Paul Dummett getting like a massive contract. I've always imagined Paul Dummett getting paid $1,000 a week, as you say, at Newcastle, just because he's from the area. Oh, we're going to exploit him. Give him $1,000 a week, it's fine. It's
like me and my mates used to say years ago about Yossi Benayoun, fantastic player, played for many big clubs, won lots of stuff, but we said, he doesn't look like the kind of man who's a millionaire.
No, he doesn't.
No, he looked like he got his jumpers from Asda, which is fine. But you know, if you're on $50,000 a week or whatever you're on, you'd be like, he's not a flashy man.
No, would you? You would be a flashy man, wouldn't you? If you were on a Premier League wage packet or a Saudi Arabian wage packet, I'd dread to think the brands you would bring into your life, because you're a stylish bastard anyway, and you ain't got a pot to piss in. So imagine if you did have money.
It'd be ridiculous. Yeah, I'd be wearing some outrageous gear.
I wouldn't. I'd still be shopping at Uniqlo. Up the Uniqlo cool, whatever it's called.
I'm actually not wearing a Uniqlo t-shirt for a change.
What's that? Is that the Jacksonville Jags?
No, it's skateboard brand Dime from Montreal.
Ooh. That's a noise for you. That's the end of the podcast, everybody. It's been a marathon today, 1 hour and 39 we've been recording for. I guess I'll get trimmed down a little bit when Jack Atkins unplugged his microphone. Not to plug it back in. But thank you very much for watching. More content coming out this week. Fantasy football content, FPL stuff coming to the channel tomorrow. On Friday, myself and Kayla have done the away kits tier, considering, again, Jack Atkins been busy. Owen didn't want to do it, I don't think. Joel's retired. Kayla's back on the channel. We'll see how it goes down. What else is there? I guess that's it. Just up the hold and give. Give us a subscribe if you haven't already. And Jack Atkins, any closing remarks before we go away?
Yeah, you don't have to call me a knobhead in the comments, because unlike other people who work under the cultaholic umbrella, I don't read the comments, and I know you're saying it anyway, so yeah, I deserve it for some of the absolute park that comes out of my mouth.
It was only one last week, to be fair. It was only one. It was because you predicted Liverpool finishing second, which was outrageous.
I go with my heart. I go with my heart at the end of the day. But just have a bit of fun and up the hold and give.
Up the hold and give. Just have a bit of fun. There's the catchphrase for the channel. I've been Ross Tweddle, joined by Jack Atkins or Clive F, and we'll see you in person next week. Oh, I hope you put some eau de toilette on. Yeah. Oh, God.